York Harbor welcomes a new luxury liner on her maiden voyage. She's the CRISTOFORO Columbo, queen of Italy's merchant fleet, named for the illustrious explorer. The graceful 30,000-ton vessel is 700 feet long, the biggest to be launched this year. 7.5 days out of Genoa, the 23-knot ship is nosed into her pier, and cheering crowds turn out to hail the arrival of a new lady of the sea, Italy's newest liner, the CRISTOFORO Columbo. New York hails a heroine, Nurse Genevieve de TERROB, and the canyons of Broadway ring with cheers as a parade escorts her uptown. It's the start of a visit to the United States by congressional invitation for the Angel of DIENBIENPHU, whose heroic care of French fighting men in Indochina stirred the admiration of the world. And America gives her own salute to the 29-year-old nurse Genevieve de TERROB. One of the longest U.S. Senate filibusters on record keeps the lights burning all night on Capitol Hill as senators debate the administration's atomic energy bill. Opposing it is Oregon Senator Morse, freshening up after an 8-hour, 4-minute speech. The senators can't even leave for a shave as the filibuster winds wearily on for 5 days. Finally, the filibuster is cracked. Majority Leader Knowland and Minority Leader Johnson agreed to limitation of debate on an amendment, and the talk simmers down on Capitol Hill. A gay premiere crowd turns out in Hollywood for Warner Brothers' King Richard and the Crusaders in CinemaScope, and it seems the film capital has gone medieval tonight. In fact, this is the night for nights. Photographer snapped Jack Warner greeting Michael O'Shea and lovely Virginia Mayo, one of the stars of the Warner-Color film about the Crusaders. George Sanders, who stars with Virginia, has California instead, Miss California with him tonight, and a bevy of beauty contest winners. Barbara Warner is escorted by star Guy Madison, signing his autograph for the fans, who've turned out in force for King Richard and the Crusaders.
Returning from Geneva, French Premier Mendes France embraces his wife amid swirling, cheering well-wishers at Jean Villacoublay Airport near Versailles. Hurrying into his car, Mendes France is soon on his way to the French Assembly, where sidewalk crowds too hail the man who in little more than a month has emerged as the dynamic, strong man of post-war France. The Assembly, rising almost to a man, provides an overwhelming demonstration of support for the Premier, who brought to an end the 8-year nightmare in Indochina. In London, Foreign Secretary Eden explains Britain's stand on the Geneva Pact.
The task of the Geneva Conference was twofold. In the first place, to try to bring peace to Indochina itself after 8 years of hideous war. And second, to reach that agreement in order to avoid the danger of which many of us are very conscious, namely that that conflict would spread and lead to more serious disasters for us all.
In Hanoi, crowds demonstrate for peace while protesting the pact that allows the Reds to swallow up the city and the rice-rich Red River Delta. Already refugees are streaming from the ceded territory. Feeding the pathetic victims, many barely old enough to toddle, taxes the emergency shelters. Though rations are short, hundreds are fed daily, a helping hand in a tragic flight. Returning in makeshift boats, freed prisoners of war add a grim chapter to the defeat at DIENBIENPHU. Their joy on reaching freedom is tempered with tales of red cruelty. In medical tents, the haggard, half-starved heroes tell of forced death marches from the fallen fortress, of wounded comrades dropping along the way, and of communist commanders leaving them behind to die. For the lucky survivors, the nightmare of Indochina is not ended, but there are happier days ahead. Riding the roaring drum, drivers take a dizzy spin to nowhere at Riverview Park in Chicago. Snugly strapped into their little cars, they're set for topsy-turvy thrills. Foot on the brake, and with our cameraman along, the drum starts turning as the cars rock back and forth. Step on the brakes, and the cars, now fixed to the surface of the drum, can whirl around at speeds up to 30 miles an hour. Imported from Europe, the contraption provides the operators with an extra profit from the change that tumbles from the upside-down customers. Amid screams of delight and roaring of wheels, riders find frightened fun on the flying cars. It's man in souped-up sports cars against mountain in the National Hill Climbing Championships at Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Streaking along the tortuous turn-studded 1-mile run up Wilkes-Barre Mountain, the daredevil drivers are trying to crash the mythical 1-minute barrier that has defied assaults for almost half a century. The serpentine course turns into a skid row as the $20,000 buggies battle the tough and treacherous course. And here's the winner, Erwin Goldschmidt, skidding his Ferrari up the slopes in 61 seconds. No minute mile, but still a championship performance.